Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today I am so thrilled to have on the show Tina Encarnacion. Can you say it for me again?
Encarnacion.
Encarnacion. See, I had even practiced it. Oh, it's one of those days. But I'm so happy to have Tina on the show, and we had a really good discussion not too long ago about what she's going to share with you today. And she is a wife and a mother and an inspirational speaker and a transformational coach. And she has a passion for life and overcoming obstacles. She was diagnosed with an incurable illness, and after multiple surgeries, took life into her own hands and has survived over 10 years past the time the doctors predicted for her. She has never allowed anyone to dictate her life and has conquered and triumphed over loss, abuse, tragedy, and illness. She spends her days mentoring and teaching others how to heal their wounds and find belonging in this world. And today we are going to be talking about rewriting your script. So welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, after that introduction, I'm sure everyone is quite curious to hear your story. So I'm going to let you loose for a few minutes there.
Oh, awesome. So it's a long story, but I'll make it short. I grew up in a large family. There were 5 kids in my family. And unfortunately, I struggled with ADHD and a couple of other behavioral issues. And so I was kind of the black sheep of the family and had to go through a lot of emotional abuse growing up. And so feelings of unworthiness and just not being enough were my constant growing up. I started to really hate myself in my life, and I stuffed those feelings and those emotions in. And so at the age of 18, as I was exiting my family's home and starting a life of my own, and I was so excited to just let loose and be free, I was diagnosed with echolalia, which is an incurable illness of the esophagus. And my body literally starves itself to death. And so the doctors have to cut the muscles away from my esophagus in order to allow me to survive and eat and thrive. So from 18 to 24, I underwent 30 surgeries to stay alive. And at that time, I hadn't really gone through a healing journey. I didn't really understand anything. I just kind of followed the doctor's orders and allowed them to do surgeries on me. And I was on super high drugs. So I was on like morphine and Dilaudid and Phenergan just to maintain my pain levels. And I was told this is the rest of your life. Most people don't live past 5 years of diagnosis. Typically they'll get esophageal cancer and pass away. And so that was the life sentence I got at 18. And I just dealt with it. I just believed it. And then at 24, I found myself in a really abusive relationship. And I ended up being pregnant with this child. And so I had to literally fight my way out of that relationship in order to keep my daughter alive. And due to my illness, my body shut down during the pregnancy. And so I had to deliver her early. And she ended up passing away in my arms. And so that really just took all life out of me at that point. I was done. There was really no reason for me to even live any longer. And so I had to kind of go through a journey of healing and self-discovery and understanding my worth and really convincing myself that I was valuable and that I was to be here and find a will to live. And through that process of journey of healing, I learned how emotions affect you physically. And how all of my childhood years of being made to feel like I wasn't worthy, that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't going to amount to anything, that I was unlovable, it closed down my throat chakra, my esophagus, and that's what caused my illness. And so I really had to rewrite my script. I couldn't continue to live in this world with that broken record in my mind telling me that I was worthless. And so I went down this journey of self-healing and self-exploration of about 6 years of just really healing my heart and my soul and discovering my worth and not allowing anybody to tell me anything else. Like I had to convince myself of it and believe in myself and find purpose in myself. And so that's kind of the journey I've gone down, and that's how I've survived. And I am so passionate now about rewriting your script and not believing that programming that's handed down to you from generation to generation, and not allowing anyone to hide your light, to break out of the bondage and to just live unapologetically. And so I'm on a mission to bring that into this world and to help others uncover their beauty and their purpose as well.
So since 24, have you had to have any other surgeries?
Yes. In fact, I ended up having to have a surgery in 2017 where I was on bed rest for 6 months. And that's when I started writing my book, because my mind was just going crazy and I needed some outlet to channel my energy into. With my ADHD, it's very difficult to just sit still.
Yes.
And so I just really wrote my story, and I didn't have the intention of publishing it, but I needed to get it off my chest so that I could have final healing, so that I could just purge all of the damage that was inside of me. And so I literally wrote the book just to heal my soul, not necessarily for anything else. But as I wrote, I realized that I'm not the only one that's going through this. I am not the only person that has lived through abuse, who has lived through the loss of a child or a loved one. I'm not the only person that feels alone and unworthy. And if I can find my voice, anyone can find their voice.
That's awesome. And we are going to talk about your book more towards the end of the podcast. So you've come prepared to teach us about rewriting your script. So the first thing I just want to ask you is, because some people think it's not possible to rewrite your script. So my question is, what would you say to someone who's thinking that right now?
Oh, I deal with those kind of people every day, and I love it. It's such a fun challenge for me. So I would say, first off, ask yourself why you don't feel like you can do it. What programming has been so drilled into you that it has become your DNA? What is that one phrase? What is that one belief that is causing you to not believe in yourself? Because that is really the root problem, and that's what we need to fix. That's where we need to rewrite that script, because there's typically one or two phrases that you bring in from your childhood into your adulthood that just keeps you down.
Yeah.
And prevents you from moving forward.
And I remember when we were doing our pre-interview, we actually got into this a little bit, and we were talking about some of the sayings and things that we heard as a child that we carried into. And I was sharing the story of someone who went to eat an apple seed and stopped himself because that voice of his mother in his head saying, you don't eat the seeds because they're going to grow a tree in your belly, right?
Yeah.
And those kinds of things. And you don't even realize how prevalent they are until you have a situation like that and you're looking at this apple as an adult going, that's crazy. I know a tree's not going to grow in my belly. And yet, for that moment, he paused from eating the apple because that's what his mother used to say to him.
Yeah. And that's so true. I mean, for me, where the phrase that I had to change was, I love you because I have to, but I don't like you. That is a phrase that I heard often from my mother growing up. And so that phrase told me that I'm only lovable because you have to love me, but I'm really not likable. Or maybe I'm not lovable to people that aren't forced to love me. And so I convinced myself I was unlovable. And because I was unlovable, I was not worthy. And because I was not worthy, I would never be enough. And so that negativity just continued to loop on itself and convinced me that life was just not there for me. And then at 18, to have the doctor diagnose me was just confirmation. You're just not worthy of life. And so I just really had to rewrite that script and go, holy cow, I'm still here. I have survived through that emotional childhood. I've survived through the abuse of a man. I've survived through the death of my daughter, and I'm still here, and there's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
There can't be no reason for me to be here. There's a purpose. There's a purpose, and it's a strong purpose for me to withstand everything I've withstood. And so I needed to find that purpose and rewrite it. And so I had to start telling myself, I am worth it. I am enough, because God has chosen to keep me here on this earth.
Yes.
And so I'm worthy. And so just rewriting those phrases, now I'm so confident and I'm so self-assured that even if the most powerful person came and tried to knock me off my feet, it would be nearly impossible. Um, so it's just rewriting those words, just shifting them a little bit and understanding the truth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, the first part is recognizing those words in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's not easy to do. I know when I kind of started on this journey, somebody told me that, and I didn't really believe it. And it took a little bit, and it took a lot of soul searching too, and stopping and recognizing thought patterns,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
actually stopping long enough to realize what was going through my brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because you tell yourself that message so often that you don't stop to even think that it's going through your brain.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you can pause and separate that thought from who you really are, you can start to change it. So it's just even recognizing that you're doing it is the beginning of fixing it.
Yeah, you see, I got picked on, I got teased, I was so different from all the other kids. For me, it was like, you're better to stay in the background and be invisible. Don't
Mm-hmm.
shine.
Yeah, because if you shine, you're conceited. And we don't want someone who's conceited.
Well, it
Right?
even for me, it wasn't even conceited. When people saw me, I got picked on, I got rejected.
Got it. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. So
So, if I step out or people saw me, then all of a sudden it was like, you're too tall. And I mean, I had a red afro, and I do mean a truly Black person afro. Okay, like this is, I don't know if you can see, okay, but that's chemically straightened.
Mm.
Okay, and if you want to know what this looking like, you can watch the video on YouTube. Okay, but this is what happens when you chemically straighten my hair. It is not straight. Okay, it is still massively curly, and that's with chemicals. Like, how you perm it curly? Well, I perm it straight, and this is the result. So, I had massive afro, but it wasn't even black, it was red.
Mm.
So anytime I stood out, I got told all the ways that I was different.
Yeah.
And how I didn't fit in, and how I wasn't part of the group. And so, for me, it was about becoming invisible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was your safety net. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so learning how to embrace that beauty
Mm-hmm.
and that different and being proud of being different
Mm-hmm.
and finding that energy and strength within yourself to stand out even through adversity and say, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful, I'm confident, no one's going to break me, which is not easy to do. It is so hard. It's so painful going through that journey, but it's through pain that you find joy and that you find beauty.
Yeah.
And so it's just such a remarkable thing how we grow and develop in this life and learn from that pain. That pain is really what teaches us and molds us and shapes us.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can embrace happiness on the other side.
And it is a process.
Yes.
And it's a process that sometimes takes a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I've come a long way down the road, but every once in a while, something will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll trigger a thought, it'll trigger a memory, it will trigger something in me, and I go, oh, there you are. I need to deal with you today.
Yes.
Right? So I don't think the journey ever ends. I just think you get to a point where it's not controlling your life anymore.
Correct. Yeah. And when those triggers come up for me, I celebrate them because it lets me know where I still have to work.
Yeah.
I think when you're done learning, when you're done experiencing, your life is done. You've passed away, right? Because you're constantly learning and evolving as a human being until you've passed.
Yeah.
And so just finding the beauty in the pain is really how you survive in this life.
Now, I know you came prepared to share some practical hints, tips, and advice with us. So I'm going to let you loose for a few minutes to share what you've prepared for us.
All right. So, what I have done in my life is I have learned that many times those programming from our childhood or the generational programming, it holds us back and it sets beliefs within our soul that is extremely hard to shift. It's what I refer to as limiting beliefs, hitting that glass ceiling. And so what we need to do is learn how to break through that glass ceiling, how to get rid of our limiting beliefs so that we can grow and thrive and find success in this world. Mm-hmm. So kind of like we spoke of in the beginning of finding those phrases is really finding those limiting beliefs. So for me, what I have realized in my adult life is every single time I get to the edge of success, something holds me back. I'll hit resistance, or I'll hit fear or worry or the what ifs, what can, should be. And so when you get to that wall where you start to feel that resistance, when the doubt starts to kick in, the anxiety and the fear kicks in, is to look at that belief that's holding you back and pick it apart and dissect it. And figure out how to flip the script, right?
Yes.
So if the limiting belief is, I want to start my own business, but I can't afford it. It's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Then you figure out, okay, I want to start the business. What is the first step that I can do for free to start on the road of success? What can I do that costs $5, $10, $15? What is my budget, and how can I take just one baby step, one bite of that apple to find that success? And through pushing through that limiting belief step by step, rather than trying to take a leap or a jump, taking it step by step, bite by bite, you are able to break down that limiting belief without even realize that you're breaking it down and move forward in your life. Another thing I like to say is to look at your goal without any barriers, without any limitations. Dream as if nothing can stop you. Because another problem that we have with success in our life and our business is we think that we can't do something. We compare ourselves to others. So we say, well, they're better than me. They're smarter than me. They're more educated than me. So I could never get to where they're at, or I could never go past them because they're better. And we're comparing. And so if you can take all the barriers and the comparisons away and say, I want to get to this place, and then write yourself an action plan roadmap to achieve that without putting anyone else's experience in it, without putting any boundaries, no fears or worries, just saying, this is where I'm going.
Yes.
And you take it and you make your plan 5 years, 1 year, 6 months, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, even down to the hours in the day. Then you can, again, take those baby steps and you can achieve your goals, and you're going to hit that goal before you ever even realize you're working towards it. And so that's kind of how I found the success in my life, is rather than looking at the big picture, breaking it down to little snapshots, and then just consuming those snapshots one by one until I reach my goal. And so that's what I would recommend to all of you guys: is stop the overwhelm, stop all of the noise, stop all of the comparison, and just really dial down and focus on what do you want in your life, what do you want to achieve, and get rid of all the crap that holds you back.
Yeah. And I think you talked about not being able to afford something, and it kind of triggered something in me, and that was something I had to deal with. So I actually had to get rid of that limiting mindset that I can't afford to do this. And like you said, there's if there's a will, there's a way. And I remember when I was first writing my books, I did not have anybody to teach me. I did not have money to buy courses to learn how to write books, the expensive courses. So I did everything piecemeal, and it took me longer, but I did it. And once I learned how, I went from writing books, and now I'm the owner of a publishing company. And so I always encourage somebody, if you really want to do it, there is a way. Now, you might not be able to take the quick route like someone who has $10,000 to $20,000 in disposable income, where they can either teach somebody or have someone teach them to do it, or they can pay other people to do the stuff. So your road might be longer, but you will still get to the same spot. And you have to work with what you already have. So, you know, I've changed. I don't say I can't afford things. I look at it realistically. I'm learning not to spend money unwisely. And I'm also learning that sometimes it's just things I want. It's not necessarily something I need. So I've got a really good little habit that I do now. When I really want to go shopping, and, you know, nowadays being at home, you know, you're looking at stuff online. I'll look at it, I'll play around with it. I put it in the cart. I actually buy it and put it in the cart, but I don't go through with putting in my payment information. And then I wait till the next day. And then if I'm still looking at it, but I'm not 100%, I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait another day. And usually by day 2, I'm like, yeah, I really don't need that. But it just kind of fulfilled that sensation of putting it in the cart, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's also looking at what you do have available to you. You know, I learned how to write books predominantly through Google and $7 to $20 courses that taught you one single little thing. So,
and then also you have that experience to feed on for the future too. Someone who can pay for that $10,000 course isn't going to learn as much as you did.
Yeah.
Piecemealing it together.
Well, because I couldn't pay people to do things, I can actually do everything to produce a book myself. So I can write, I can edit. Not that my editing's the strongest, okay? So okay, I'm probably better than the average person, but for the quality of book I want to put out, I have editors. You know, but I can format. I can kind of create covers. I've figured workarounds because graphic design, well, I've just learned that I'm very creative, but art is not really one of my talent, skills, and abilities. I have a hard time drawing a straight line with a ruler. But I can use templates. Yes, and Canva is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Right? So it's about finding the way that does work for you, and there is a way that will work for you.
Most definitely, yes.
So I want you to tell me about your book and where people can find it. And what was the writing journey like for you? Because you had a unique situation. You were writing this in bed because you were on bed rest.
Yeah, so the book actually took me 3 years to write. Initially, the 6 months, it was on bed rest. I didn't get it completed in that 6 months. Because it is a journey of my life and everything that I've gone through, it was very hard for me to write. So there were times where I would rip a scab off to write a chapter, and the pain was still so deep that I would have to put it down and walk
let
away
it heal.
Let it heal, right?
Yep.
So the book is called Stuck in the Fire, A Story of Resilience, and it's the first book in a trilogy called A Rising Phoenix. And so each chapter is a lesson that changed my life. And so I write the chapter, I write the lesson, and then at the end of the lesson, there's a time for reflection with questions so that you can relate a certain circumstance or situation in your life to that lesson from my life. And then there's at the end of each one of the questions, there's life coaching, because I'm a certified life coach. So there's life coaching to get you through that scab that you just ripped off. And to process it and heal. So it's a self-exploration book of really, this is my crap that I went through in my life, but I'm sure you can relate, and let's help you heal as well.
Yes.
And so it's a really beautiful book. I've gotten some amazing reviews from it. People are emailing me on a daily basis saying how it's making them change the way they look at their life and their past, and how it's helping them to find healing. And so for me, it was so hard to write just because of a lot of the life circumstances I've gone through were just so painful. But it was so cathartic and so healing to no longer have it trapped in my mind and to put it on paper and then to publish it to the world was just freeing. It was just like, it is out there. This is who I am. I'm not apologizing for who I am any longer. And I'm stepping into my power and my purpose. And I am starting a movement with this book. In order to heal this world, you have to heal yourself.
Yes.
And so this book is creating a healing movement by helping others heal themselves so they can then heal the world. So I am so excited about this book.
I can see that. All right, so we have a minute or two left. So how can people connect with you, Tina?
So I have a website, tinaencarnacion.com. I'm also on YouTube as well as Instagram, Whole Body Healing with Tina on Instagram. And my book's on Amazon as well. So you can purchase it on Amazon Kindle, and soon it will be on Audible as well. I'm just waiting for the approval on that.
Nice.
So many different places you can contact me.
So that's Tina, Tina, and the last name is Encarnacion. So thank you so much, Tina, for being on the show. And I just want to let everybody know that if you are on a healing journey, then connect with Tina, get her book, learn from her. You know, I went through years of a healing journey of my own, and I can tell you that the freedom you get on the other side is worth everything that you have to go through to get there. So this has been Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you, Tina, for being on the show, and we will see you all on the very next episode. Bye now.
Bye.